In this presentation, we'll review simplifying exponential expressions. If after watching this you find you need further study, please see a teacher for a more detailed explanation or additional problems. Your objective is to simplify an exponential expression. Here are the properties of exponents you learned in Algebra 1. We're going to look at this list, but simplify it somewhat so there's less to remember and make it easier for us to use. The first property you're probably quite familiar with. If you have the same term with different exponents and you multiply the terms, if you multiply, you add exponents. In the next property, the power property, if you raise an exponential term to a power, we multiply the exponents. Here we have a parenthesis raised to the power m. Here you distribute the exponent. When you have a variable raised to a negative power, that can be written as 1 over that power, but it's positive. Likewise, if we go the other way, move this up here, it would become negative. I call that you cross the line, change the sign rule. Anything to 0 equals 1. Again, if we have an exponential term in the denominator, you can move it to the numerator. Remember, use my rule, cross the line, change the sign of the exponent. And finally, the last property is just another form of this distributive property here. So if you look at this, you really have a few things to remember. Multiplying, you add. Raising to a power, you multiply. We distribute, there's 2. Anything to the 0 power equals 1. And anytime you take a term with an exponent and you cross the divide line, just remember to change the sign of the exponent. So let's put this to use. Here's a simple example. A squared times a cubed equals a to the 5th. Here's another straightforward example. X to the negative 4th times x cubed equals x to the negative 4 plus 3, and that's x to the negative 1, or we could write it as 1 over x to the 1. When you cross this line, you would change the sign of the exponent. Either of these answers is okay with me, but please note that some teachers require positive exponents in their answers. Here's another straightforward example. We have w to the 7th power divided by w squared. Here's my little trick. Move the term with the lower value exponent, which in this case is w squared, towards the higher value exponent. So we're going to move this up, crossing the line towards w7. When you cross the line, change the sign of the exponent. So you'd end up with 7 minus 2, so it's w to the 5th. Remember, when you cross the line, change the sign. Here's another example. The lower value exponent is 7. We move it towards the higher value exponent, which is 9, so that we cross the line, we change the sign of 7. We have 9 minus 7, so it's 1 over b squared. Let's look at a more advanced problem. Here we have 3 terms, x, y, and z raised to various powers. Let's simplify this. We're going to work with the x term first, and you note that 5 is less than 7, so we're going to take the x to the 5th term, move it up to the numerator. Remember, when you cross the line, you change the sign, so we have this. Let's move on to the y term. Y squared is less than y cubed. We're going to move the y squared term to the numerator, crossing the line, changing the sign. We have 3 minus 2. Finally, the z term. Well, this is z to the 1 is less than z cubed, so we're going to move z to the 1 into the denominator, and we have x squared y. The 2 stays here. The 2 is not attached to this variable. It remains in the numerator. In our final answer, we'll simplify, just put the 2 out on the left. We have 2x squared y over z squared. Remember, move the common term with the lower value exponent to the common term with the higher value exponent, cross the line, change the sign. Here's one for you to try on your own. I would pause the video, try to work it out, and then look at the solution. If you need additional help, again, see your teacher.